Alright, so what we're going to do in this session right here is I just wanted to get some late night drawing in. So what I've done is I've got my reference up here. I just want to loosen up a little bit. This is the first drawing for the night. So it's all about just kind of getting my arm going. This is done on my my newsprint. So the paper is a cheaper type of paper, and it doesn't quite sit flat, but I like to keep everything in the pad still just so it's a little more portable. But for what we're using it for, it's going to be great. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hurry and kind of get a general idea going, just a loose gesture. I'm not going to worry about details. I just want to kind of get the direction everything's going. So when I'm doing this, I'm just thinking basic shapes. Trying to get the overall look. I'm not worried about getting it to fit on the page or anything like that. I'm thinking about my lines of rhythm, thinking about a little about proportions, but the most important right now is just getting something down on the page. We can always go back and clean all this up with construction lines. But doing this makes it a lot easier to create construction lines. So I've already kind of got the general idea going here. So what I can do is I can start coming back in and reestablish my distances. So I'm going to hold my pencil up here, and I need to get a comfortable position. I'm finding landmarks like the top of her head, her belly button, and then from here I move it down. I go from her belly button, and it looks like it's hitting about the middle of her shin. So if we had a belly button roughly right here, and the top of the head right here, that kind of gives us a quick gesture idea. So that's going to be about right here is about where her shin's going to be, and if I look at my gesture, that's pretty close. So I'm hoping the camera picks up this section's always kind of light, so I'll see what I can do to make that work a little bit better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to find another landmark, maybe like from her belly button to the center of her chest. That goes up to her eye. Let's see if we come down, head to the center of the chest. Okay, that's too much. Let's go head to the top of the chest, head to the top of the chest. Okay, so it's about halfway. So if we go halfway here, that'll give us another just general idea. Okay, so that gives us, the breasts will be about right there. Okay, so I've already mapped in just a couple general things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take a measurement of the head and then count down. So chin goes down to the bottom nipple, nipple goes down to the lower abdominal. So if this is the size of our head right here, something like this, then we take this measurement and come down here, and that puts us at the bottom nipple, which is right there, and then that is actually offset almost even with the side of her head. So if this is the side of her head right here, then this is actually right over here. Let me double check that. It's the outside to the outside, outside to the outside. And now what I can do is I can actually just hold my pencil at an angle and bring it down, and that gives us the general plane that one's going to sit on. So now what I can do is I can take the measurement of the head, turn it sideways, and from the back of her head is actually a full head length to the edge of her hair. So if we come down here and we put this as the back of her head, she's got her hair coming out this way. So that gives us an idea on where her hair is going to go. So I'm just going to have a jawline coming down here somewhere, and this is just all really rough still. Just laying in gestures. That's all we're doing, and then starting to reinforce it with construction lines. So right off center from the center of her chin is this muscle from the neck. What we're going to do is measure the head again, and my shoulder is really sore today. So the center of the head, that's going to be nipple, so we're looking about half the head. Half the head gives us this measurement right here. So if we go half of the head, and we're lined up. Okay, so right here, this is the pit of the neck, and then that lines up with the back of the head, which comes down right here. And then she is looking up a little bit, so that puts the ear a little bit lower. Now, anybody you see who goes right into this this kind of a drawing where you're getting the structural lines in and they just kind of nail it, those people have been drawing for a very, very long time. So don't compare yourself to them. Don't worry about trying to be even with them. Don't try to match their speed, any of that. Just try to learn the best you can at the speed you need to. And that's really what's going to get you to improve. If you try to move as fast as other people do, that you don't know their history or their backgrounds, and you just see them produce these insane drawings at amazing rates, it's that they've just got more drawing mileage. So I draw faster than a lot of people. There's a lot of people who draw faster than me. You just don't worry about it. So I'm getting into a little too many details right there. So I'm going to force myself to come out of it. Okay, let's see, the inner fold of her breast lines up with the chin. So that comes down right here. And then all this section is actually covered in hair, so I can't even see what's going on right there. So I can actually blow that out. That was just a reference I was using. Her hips coming out. So I am home, and I've got my kids in the background. Oh, I've played the piano. It's been a nice night. I've enjoyed it. So this hair actually comes clear down and covers most of her arm. So one of the tricks on this is you got to find out where that arm is coming from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an arm measurement, and it lines up right there at the nipple at that angle, so it comes out right here. So pretty close to where I was drawing anyway. And then to get the width of her body, I'm going to use the head again. Bottom of the chin, top of the head. I'm going to go from that waist, and it's actually full head out to the side of her arm. So if I take this, and I come out here, that's the side of her arm right there. And she's got her gesture coming in right there. Somewhere like that. This will come up and over, it'll just give us that location. And even though you can reference things like saying breasts and arms and elbows and eyes, I want you to think more, use that as just a guidance when you're talking to other people. When you're actually drawing this, I want you to think more like this shape, this angle, that angle. It'll help you break it down from a human form that's super complicated to an understandable figure. Like if you're looking here and saying these ribs, how many ribs is there? It's going to make it a lot harder than what's this shape right here? Where does it go back? Where does it go down? Where does it come out at? It's good to know that form, and you have to know the anatomy to it. You just don't have to. You don't have to reference it by name. It can actually make it a lot more difficult to understand what's going on if you're referencing everything by name. So right here is her lower abdomen. So I'm just going to do a shadow map here. Get all this pelvic region placed in. Find this angle of her leg. Bring it down. And then we're going to find out how far out it comes. And it actually lines up with the side of her head. So it comes out to right here. And it actually does turn down. So her quads are actually turning her leg. She's got a kneecap right about here. And kneecaps are funny. They're not like you think they'd be. I kind of like to draw this little 8 to kind of reference my shape, and then I go back and I refine it with what it actually looks like. Okay, we're going to come back, grab this angle. And as you can see, I'm drawing straight lines for the most part. Like even the breasts that twist and turn, and the hair that twists and waves, I still do them in straight lines because it's a lot easier to understand straight lines than curved lines. Alright, so this part's kind of hidden by her hand. So her hands come in right here. Got her fingers coming down here, somewhere like that. This angle already makes itself. We know it's right there. Just looking, I can see where that ties in at, which is right there. This comes down a little bit. And the reason I'm staying so loose with this is because usually I'll do this in like a fine charcoal if it's going to be a final drawing. But I'm being loose with it just because you can hide all these lines. All these lines will kind of disappear as you're working on it and your hand touches it and the paper moves and everything, and some of the charcoal falls off and whatnot. You put new charcoal in on top of it and everything like that, and you don't even have to worry about what's underneath it. So this hand is going to be super basic right now. And honestly, it's probably going to end super basic too. Okay. So we're getting something like that going. Okay. We got something like that right there. So. Okay, so from here, I mean, this is pretty good for what I'm using it for. I want to go back and hit some of these edges that I know are going to be right here, right there, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull some of these down, and then we're going to start a shadow mapping. So I'm going to come down and just follow the shapes. Now this image doesn't have like super heavy shadow, it's actually got 2 lights on it, so there isn't a ton of shadow to work with. And then she's got really light skin too, which kind of blows out a lot of my darker tones as well. So I'm just going to get it roughed. Something like that will probably be sufficient for now. Then this comes up, she's got her eyebrow arches. And then that comes up here, and it ties right into her hair. Let's go ahead and put some tone in there. It's coming along. Alright. She's got a shadow that comes down the side of her face, and it actually puts this whole eye in a little bit of shadow. section comes across here. Sounds like a war zone upstairs. I wonder if it's coming through the camera microphone or not. I'm just going to roughen this ear right here. Just like that. Ah, man, my shoulder is aching so bad. Let's see, I got an eraser around here somewhere. This line isn't scrubbing out, so I'm just going to blow it out with the eraser. Okay, this neck muscle comes down very prominently, so I'm going to hit it with a sharper line, and then it's going to turn in, go right into that. And then we're going to pull out. We're going to get this little T intersection to show overlap with line. It's going to come down. She's got a fairly small trapezius muscle there. And then for the hair, I'm just going to blow out this entire section in shadow. Something like that. And then this is going to come down. We're going to use a soft edge to blend that and fill that in. It's coming along. You see, I'm not really worried too much about all these other lines that are in there. Just no worries on them. That little turn up on the eye. As you can see on this, I'm not actually drawing in eyes. I'm drawing in references of where they would be. And I keep my pencil lead or my charcoal fairly long like that. I have a free video that I give out for how to sharpen these. It explains all the details. It's a long video. There's other people who have done shorter ones that you can also look at. But if you want to see mine, just go through my channel. It's in there somewhere. I also have it on Gumroad and QBrush if you want to go on there and download them from there and have them on your actual computer. Give them away, whatever. Just make sure you keep my name on it. That's all I ask. But yeah, I share it with people who you think it'll help. But when I sharpen these things, I actually sharpen usually always at least 2, always. But usually, like if I'm going to a drawing class or something like that, I'll sharpen up like 10 of these. This one's actually not charcoal. This is a Conte crayon or a Conte pencil, so it's like, it feels a lot like charcoal, but it's not got quite the same. I like the feel of it, but it doesn't, I don't feel like I've got the same freedom that charcoal gives me. When I do my other fine art stuff, I actually use vine charcoal for a lot of this early stage. I feel like it blends a little bit better too, but these work amazingly well for this newsprint stuff. Alright. Now her arm, I never really finished it, but it comes out a little bit too. There you go. Got a definitive hard edge shadow right here, and then it blows into a soft shadow. Comes down. Got some different shapes going in here. And then it comes down and creates that shape right there. Okay. Alright, so I've got this shape coming down here. I actually really enjoy drawing when a family's doing the piano practicing. My wife will sometimes play some like classical type music. That's what I really enjoy. I love drawing to that stuff. Okay. Looks like a lot of kids are having fun pounding on that thing tonight, though. Alright. So I kind of put this shape in early on. It's really just a shadow shape right here. It comes down. It's her twist in her rib cage, emphasized by the twist in the torso. And then this is just going to kind of go like, alright. Just going to highlight some of this hair right here. Just get something going. A little bit of interest there. Alright, so I want to get some darker shapes in here. And this part, I'm having a little bit of struggle because she's actually got a lean back on her, and it's creating these darker edges, which is kind of hard to pick up. Alright, moving down the side. Her belly button ended up being a little bit low, so we're actually going to see it's referencing off that angle right there. Get it right there. That was a mental adjustment that I'd made earlier that I'd done. So I knew it was going to go down just a little bit, but I just hadn't marked it. You'll find as you get better at drawing too, you'll make a lot of mental notes that when you get to it, you'll adjust it. Early on, just put them all on paper. It's a lot easier. See, this is one of the areas I like the charcoal a lot more, is even on newsprint. It blends out just a little bit more in my opinion. I do love the feel of these pencils though. Alright, so coming down here, we got some more angles. I'm going to re-emphasize that edge just because it's starting to get lost in here. And then this edge right here is a little too sharp, so we're going to round that off. Alright, she's got a darker background on her, and I kind of like how it frames her because she does have that really light skin. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of that in here. It also lets us put like some lost and found edges in here, which I'm kind of liking the look of. I'm not going to draw on her legs or this hand for that matter. So I'm actually just going to kind of let them fade off into the background. I do want to kind of get a couple of those shapes in the knee. I'm going to make this edge a little bit darker to show that it is coming out in front. And this is all in shadow down here. Some more of this hair in there. Okay, blow out some of this. Like I said, I'm not going to really hit this hand right here, so I'm just going to do some quick line work on it. I'll call that done. All right. My camera is going to be giving me the end of recording here in just a minute. Okay. So from this stage, what I'd end up doing on this stage is actually just kind of continuing to refine and push my values forward and backwards. Some of these like little construction lines that I have in here, I'd start to remove them. If they're in the light, I use my eraser. If they're in the shadows, I just usually blend them. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of keep recording it until the camera says you're done, and we'll call that one complete. But I'll keep narrating it until then, but it just might just cut out suddenly, and that would be why. So from here, I want to go and hit my core shadows and get some of these core shadows a little bit deeper. As you draw them, they kind of fade a little bit, and you have to go back and reestablish. Right. So that was my end of video notification, but there's a few other little shadows I wanted to reestablish. One of them was being that rib cage right there, and one of them is this section right here. Okay, and then we're going to do some blending. And I went a little too heavy on this section right here, so we're going to clean that up. I want to hit that definitive angle right there. I really like that. And then she's got a pretty strong shadow coming down around there. See how we've lost that line right there. And this section right here actually is getting hit pretty intensely with light, so I'm just gonna grab this and just drag it real quick, just one time. And her jawline actually goes back here, and then it moves into secondary lighting. Her ear has a tiny little bit of light on it, so pull that out. And then back here is dark. And I roll my pencil whenever I'm doing tone like that, otherwise it works like sandpaper and you'll just chew it right down. Okay, so this one is also being hit with strong light, so I'll pull that out. This section right here, we had hit it with about a 70%, but the reality of it is, like, most of it is almost 100% dark, so we'll fill that in too. What I like about that is it really frames her face nicely. She's got a fairly rounded face too, so we'll reestablish that. And then this is just a whole lost edge right here. So let's kind of blend that out. That section right there isn't all that dark. All right. So I like where this is going now. Every drawing will have a fairly ugly stage it goes through. Just keep pushing through it. And once you get through that and you start to push your values, it starts to build into more of a finished look to it. You don't want to overwork it, but you also want to work it just enough. How much is that? Well, that's really for you to decide. Just work it until you're happy with it. When you're happy, stop. And then work on a different section until you have something to compare it to. And then you might end up going back, or you might feel that it's to a complete stage. And once you feel like the whole piece unifies enough, then that's where you stop. Because there is such thing as overworking a piece. I got a little divot in my paper right there. Had to turn my pencil at an angle to get that. And this section right here on her chest is still giving me some issues. It's like she's got a strange value going on right there to where I can't tell if it's a sharp line or not, but that one was definitely too heavy that I just put in. I think we'll just kind of blend it in right there. I think that's where we'll go to. Okay, then coming around the breast again, we've got a really nice shape that we can frame in here. And she's got a really nice figure down around this side, but I'm starting to lose some of it because it's actually still light and I pulled my shadow down too much, so I'll just push that up with my eraser and then give a quick blend on that shadow. A little too dark on the tone right there. So I'll lighten that up, which will also let us re-emphasize with the value. This is the part of the Conte I do really like, is it builds up its layers really nicely. So we've got a little bit of the lights coming down and creating a gradient on her hair. So I'm actually going to just kind of fill that in and then get lighter as I go up. That's a cast shadow on her arm. This section is kind of strange. The photo is quite blown out, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tone down across the whole thing. Run my finger across it to blend it. And then I'm going to come back in with my eraser and just hit some highlights to pull those out. And just like I was talking about with the pencil, I keep my eraser marks fairly sharp too. Because a lot of times as you're working it, they'll start to blend in again. Okay, so we've got oblique right here, abdominal. Alright, I think that started to find the form a little bit more. Whoop. I just moved into this house not too long ago, and I haven't quite got this room to where I want it, so I've got this thing balanced on my computer desk right now, which I'm supporting it with my hand and my knees. So sometimes I turn and the whole thing goes down. And sometimes it wobbles too, and I get these really dark lines that I did not intend. So hopefully I'll be getting this room set up a little bit more the way I need it here shortly. It is definitely a lot larger than the last place I used to work, so I should be just fine. Because even though my last place was pretty small, I still had a pretty comfortable workstation set up. Okay, and then I think we're going to call this one quits here in just a little bit. Okay, I think that's as far as we'll take that one. A little further than I had initially intended to go. Let's see what else we got. It's kind of a cool pose. Maybe we'll do that. Oh, I like that one better. Okay, so go right into another one. This one might just be a gesture sketch, just because I've still got some client work I gotta get done. So this gives me a good warm up for it. I was just about to say, it sounds like it's coming down upstairs, but apparently not. Alright, so that's pretty much the gesture we're looking at. Let's go ahead and get a couple quick proportions going here. So we're going to take our head measurement, come down to the bottom of the breast, to the wrist. Okay, so if we hit this as the head right there, see how close that gets us. Let's go a little bit more on that. Okay, head. That's bottom of the breast. Bottom of the breast was bottom of the wrist. And then the breast aligns with the hand. So the hand comes out to here. And then we got overlap of the arm. The arm is coming down at this angle right there. And I'm sliding, which is making it fairly difficult. I gotta get my lamps up in here too. That would definitely help. I like a lot of light when I work, and all I've got is a ceiling fan with a couple lights on it behind me. Okay. Chrome process is right there somewhere. Okay. Coming down. Okay, and then from here, come out. And then down. Okay. This comes up here. This is a weird angle for her head too, because it is turned backwards. So we're getting a little bit of the underjaw here. And then we also have like some of the skin folding around the neck. So ears about right here, somewhere there. And then if we take the measurement, so the front of her face is lining up with right above her shoulder, and then goes out, and her nose actually extends beyond here about that much. So we come down here, now we get this angle back up here. You can kind of tell she's looking down now, just from the way the facial structure is. And then I'm actually going to just map in these shadows for now, which will give us a lot of the angle. Okay. And then we'll take that head measurement again, turn it sideways, and that bottom of the chin to the top of the head and the nose to the back of the head are the same width. So we're looking at this to this. So here's the back of the hair right there. See, and I've already made those facial features too low because I went off of the lower mark that I made and not the higher one. So her eye is actually up here. Okay, that's better. And then her hair comes up and out. This comes down here, up and around, back, and then forward. And we'd just blend all that in. Somewhere around there. Then her hair comes down over her ear, drops down a little bit, and then back up. So hair in this pose is not quite as extreme as that other one. That other one was pretty out there. Okay, so measurement of the head. Go from the shoulder to the back. It's a head measurement again. So we'll take that, and here is the back of the other shoulder right there. And you can just get some of these angles coming down. Big extreme to the back. But we already had that one set pretty good. So all I'm going to do is hit roughly where it changes shapes. The pit comes up, lines up with this hair that comes in. So we're looking right there. Okay, and then the elbow is slightly higher. So if we come back here, back the elbow aligns with the back of the ear, so it's right there. And she's got trapezius, or the tricep right there. Now let's see, this comes up right there, and it goes into her bicep. Ooh, I'm getting tired. Been a long day. I've still got other work to do. I'm not super excited to do when I'm this tired. But if you want to make your clients happy, you get it done. Being tired is not an excuse. It's just an excuse for me to make this really sloppy and say, hey, I'm tired. Alright, so, yeah, there goes that again. The edges of this desk are rounded too, which makes it even harder. But oh well. Okay, so, shadow mapping. All this is in shadow. But we don't want to lose our edges here that we took time to establish. So we'll darken those up for a little bit. What's nice about this Conte is the more you layer it, the more nice the mark expressions become. Okay, now I want to blend these two together, so I'm just going to fill that in. Okay, so this forearm is almost entirely in shadow, so it comes down and it comes back. Let's go ahead and make our edge right here so we can see what's going on here. Comes down, around, moves into her palm, and up. So all this section of her hand is in shadow. And that little corner. Okay, so she's got this core shadow coming down right here. So I'm just going to darken that up, and then it rounds a little bit. And then she's also got another shadow being cast from her arm. And then there's this tiny little bit of light hidden right here that I like. And this one we're going to kill that off and show some of that rounded form right there. And then we've got a shadow coming up here. And all this section is in shadow, but we have this little core shadow that darkens up right there too. And these aren't the actual values. Like if I was going to do this as a final image, I would calculate those values a lot more carefully. But since this is just like a quick sketch, I'm just putting them in, just kind of relative to what's around them. And then she's got some darker shadows coming in through here. And then the front of her hand is actually catching light down here, but her fingers coming down here are in shadow. So it kind of frames it, something like that. And then this is a core shadow running down right there. So from here we'll go ahead and sharpen up that line. Kind of pull that back in. Yeah, it's coming along. Now an arm viewed from the back like this, it's a little bit deceiving because it looks simple, with how it rounds. But you got these like tiny little adjustments from where it wraps around the tricep, and since there's 3 muscles in the tricep, you'll usually get this horseshoe looking shape. Even when it's a fairly rounded arm like hers, you need to look for those little form changes that the tricep ties into the deltoid. They'll create really subtle changes, and if you can hit those, you'll bring a lot more realism to your image, or it'll read better, or whatever you're shooting for. Okay, got shadow coming up there, and then a very definitive shadow right here where we've got the fold in her back. It's kind of her shoulder blade overlapping with her spine. So we'll get both of those, and it's going to create different shapes here. Okay. So there's this really bright light hitting the shoulder right here, which is cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to darken all this up to make sure that we get that in there. Okay, let's work on this neck a little bit. A lot of weird things going on right here that I don't really want to tackle right now, so I'm just going to put that all into the shadow shape that we're getting here. I'm just going to map that large and fill it and keep that simple. Okay, we got a little bit of our cheekbone coming down here. And then what's actually going on right here, even though I just drew it as a straight line, we've actually got her mouth open slightly. And then that moves into her nose. Into her forehead. And then her nose is actually catching a little bit of light right here. So again, we've already laid down charcoal there. So to make that show up a little bit more, we're going to darken around here. And now because we've darkened around there, we've lost our core shadow again. So go back in, add some of our darks back in here. That neck is going to require a little bit more study on it because it's got some really crazy stuff going on there. Okay. Get a basic ear set right here. Okay. Okay, and then she's actually got like a flexion coming off her hair. So I'm only going to put this lower section into the shadow right now, and then we're going to come back up and catch it right here. nice. So if I was going to be rendering this a lot more detailed, there is a lot of really subtle values going on in the back that I'd focus on. But since these are just quick sketches, I'm not going to worry about them. Alright, and then since we're losing a lot of values right here, I'm actually going to call this one done for now. That's about as far as I want to take that one anyway. It's because there's so many really fine values going on right here. So there is a noticeable value right here. So I could always put that one in. But for the most part, their skin's so light and they've got the light's so bright on it too, it's kind of blowing out a lot of her skin tones. Alright, let's see. I'm wondering if I even want to do another one tonight. Maybe I'll just do like a quick gesture right here. Just grab it real quick. But then again, I also said I was going to go really fast on the last one. And I rendered it out a lot more than I expected. Okay, so we've actually got a weight-bearing leg right here. So that one's going somewhere about right there, which is giving her a contrapposto pose where it pinches right here in the side and then tilts her over that direction. So we've got this pinch going on right there. Which, because there's a pinch there, it means on this other side there's going to be a stretch. And I've got a weird bulge in the paper right there. Keeps on going a little further from me. Okay, so comes up. Oh yeah, the paper's all messed up right here. Let's try to adjust some of these clamps. I gotta find my giant rubber band that I put on this thing too. It kind of prevents that. Alright, so her arm comes down right about here and then back up, and this arm goes up and then down. So for the line of rhythm, it comes right down into this other. Man, I've got to get this desk up. It's driving me crazy. Let's see if we got another line of rhythm I can see. So this one's just wrapping around from that same curve and it pushes out. So this ties right into the S curve. And then she's got some hair that's coming and overlapping it. So that's a super fast gesture right there. We can go back and we can start hitting some of these little edges to give us some more data to work with. Oh man, this one's driving me crazy. I keep turning, and my board just starts creeping away on me. I'll try to get that adjusted here shortly. In the meantime, I might just hold it. Whenever you're doing these quick poses, just represent the fingers with like 2 lines, just like that. So you've got the palm, there's 1 line, 2 lines, and you got a turn of the fingers. And that's a way to map in your hands super fast. There's your wrist. So, I mean, I did 2 of them just so you could see, but quick way to get that. I like to know where my weight-bearing leg is, even if it's behind another leg. So here's her knee coming out in front. Comes back into the pelvis. But see, I know where that weight-bearing leg is at. So it lets you understand the contrapposto a lot better and get a better balance relation, because if it comes straight down, even though she's at a crazy angle, you can see that it's balanced. Where if you don't, you get figures that somehow are standing even though they're leaning really far to the side, because like the feet are over here and the body's over here, and it creates this imbalance, like they're going to fall. So when you find that weight-bearing leg, you have the head that goes down to the weight-bearing leg, and then it doesn't matter what any of these other appendages are doing, it stays balanced. See, a lot of times I'll time myself on these types of poses, and I'll only give myself like 5 minutes to draw them, or 10 minutes, or 2 minutes, or whatever I'm trying to accomplish. A lot of times I'll just time it out so I don't get too caught up in the gesture, and that's even for my fully rendered poses that I'll do on nicer paper, because if you go too slow on the gesture, you can lose all of the energy that is in the piece. Because when you start adding those construction lines, if you don't have that underlying gesture, it can become somewhat flat and dead. And when I'm doing my art, I like to create something that a camera can't reproduce. And there's something about drawing this by hand that gives you that freedom, and it's just a movement that the camera just can't catch by itself. Now you'll have a lot of photographers who know how to create that and bring it back in and everything like that, but there's just something about the hand drawing stuff that I just really, really quite enjoy. Alright, I think that's probably as far as I'm going to take these tonight. So, 3 fairly quick poses, just to have some fun with it. And play some different forms and values and everything like that. But I think that's where I'm going to end for this one. So, hopefully you got something out of it and you enjoyed just kind of watching my process as I draw and talk about it a little bit. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to add them. I post all these up on my website as well if you want to go check that out. A quick link to it is just artworkbyadam.com or adammcconey.com if you know how to spell my last name. But yeah, feel free to shoot them over to me and let me see what you've come up with as well. I'm kind of interested to see what you got. So for now, I'm going to call that one done, and I will talk to you guys in a bit.